Empress Navier is in a state of confusion when Countess Eliza informs her that Grand Duke Capman is present in the parlor room. She noticed that the potion has worn off, and Grand Duke Capman apologizes for his unstable emotional state. Grand Duke Capman sighed and adjusted his distance from her. He claimed to have created a potion for the black market, but it doesn't usually work like this. The Empress wondered if it was a side effect. The didn't answer the Empress question, but told her he is leaving the empire, and Grand Duke Capman is present to say goodbye. She asked about the diplomatic relations and trade affairs, but he answered that even though she is in charge, at the end it was her husband's approval that would be prevail. She is angry that her efforts to establish diplomatic relations with Rift have failed due to Soviet's feelings. Grand Duke Capman, distressed, announces that the diplomatic relationship with the Eastern Empire is over. He plans to explore other countries to find ways to remove the effects of a drug. Grand Duke Capman paused to speak, unsure if he was going to say goodbye. The Empress tried to say goodbye first, but was surprised when he proposed to go together. He offered to live without pain and be surrounded by good things in the world. She was shocked, but Grand Duke Capman did not correct his words and offered to do all the preparations if agreed. The Empress is frustrated and tries to explain that his emotions will return when the potion wears off. She admits it is painful for the Emperor to love another woman while he is cold to her. The Empress, she is still the Empress, despite her husband's coldness towards her. Grand Duke Capman, regretful of her belief, warns her that divorce could lead to her falling apart. The Empress denies this, stating that the Emperor is not a fool to divorce her, but Grand Duke Capman refuted her and warns her that people addicted to love may act on impulse, like what he did on her husband. He asks if he can hug her, and the Empress agrees to a light embrace. But the hug is intense and impatient. He leaves with a final glance before leaving. After 15 minutes, Navier is visited by her older brother Kosher, who is more comfortable with her. They discuss her somber appearance, which her brother believes is due to her husband's affair with another woman. Navier receives shopping bags from her brother. He questions her where the woman with the bastard child and asshole is staying. Navier warns her brother about her dangerous language. She locks the door and reassures her brother. Prince Heinlein is in King Warden, the third bedroom. He urges him to get married. Despite his nagging nature, Heinlein agrees, despite his brother's ill health. Warden 3, trembling, sucked in slow breaths and loosened his grip on Heinlein's hand. The prince announced the king's death, and those silently beside the wall knelt before the new king. The Empress is surprised to see a blue bird flying through the window, akin to Queen's underling. The bird has a letter from Prince Heinlein that expresses his need for comfort from her. Queen. She writes a cliched sentence, hoping the prince is not hurting too much, but she cannot express the depth of her feelings. The Empress plans to present Miss Rashta's baby a gift during a celebration. The ladies are hesitant about the gift, but they shared that they had prepared clothes and baby trinkets. Countess Eliza asks about what the Empress will give as a gift, and she answered she decides to give the baby a decorative sword. The conversation ends with the speaker's decision. On the day of Rashta's baby's banquet, the palace was filled with visitors, indicating the wealth and importance of the event. Rashta suddenly came closer to the Empress with an angelic smile. Sovieshu appears nervous, and the nobles are curious. She presents a gift wrapped in shiny paper and tied with a ribbon, which Rashta takes with both hands, wondering what it is. Rashta is enamored with the sword and expresses her gratitude to the Empress. Rashta asks for a favor from the Empress to bless her baby, but she declines. Sovieshu, embarrassed by the Empress' rejection of blessing his baby, and asked her if it was hard for her to bless Rashta's baby since she was doing it daily. Sovieshu went back to Rashta, while the Empress asked Rashta if she still wanted her blessing, but Sovieshu was suspicious. Rashta gave a large smile and the Empress blessed the baby, saying, "Dear child, be like the sword I have gifted you, gorgeous and beautiful." Rashta strokes Empress Navier's beautiful blade, hoping her child would be admired and have the sword as proof of love. She contemplates removing Viscount Roteshu, the only black cloud in her family's future, but sees a heart-fearing face. Alan Rimwell, son of Viscount Roteshu and Rashta's former lover, appeared in the capital. Rashta was shocked by his presence and worried about his actions. Rashta is surprised when Duke Elgi calls her. Rashta shows the sword that Empress Navier gifted her baby. Duke Elgi asks if he can look at it. Rashta gives Duke Elgi a gift of a fine sword, which he finds to be purely decorative. The Empress blessed Rashta to be as beautiful as the sword, but it has no practical use as a weapon. Duke LG explains that the sword means living in splendor and beauty, but also not working. Rashta is shocked by the mockery she received from the empress. Tears spill over her cheeks, and Soviesha comforts her. She thought that the emperor knew what the empress gift means, but he didn't tell her. Rashta is convinced that Duke LG is more reliable and that she was correct in confiding about her other baby to the Duke rather than Sovieshu. She is convinced that Duke LG is more dependable. Rashta stated her fear towards the empress's harsh words towards their baby. She seeks consolation and promises of Sovieshu's protection. Sovieshu is surprised by Rashta's renaming of the baby a prince or princess. The nobles in the conversation stiffen and look at each other. Rashta, unaware of the aristocracy, tried to preserve her pride, leaving Sovieshu in a dilemma. He suggested she follow him. Sovieshu explains to Rashta that her baby cannot be a prince or princess Eve if they are the emperor's children. Rashta is confused and unsure why her children are not considered royalty. Sovieshu concludes by stating that the law is written in the great church and cannot be changed by the emperor. But the emperor told Rashta that the possibility of the empress adopting a baby and recognizing them as royalty if the empress if infertile. Sovieshu returns to the banquet, leaving Rashta in a corner, hugging her legs and dropping her forehead. The empress is walking with her brother and Marquis Farang when Rashta showed and told the empress that she will endure the insult from her. The empress asked if her value is only due to the love of the emperor. Rashta became pale, but explains that the empress, who is likely infertile, will be the stepmother of her babies, and she doesn't want to fight the empress for the sake of her future children. The empress is surprised at Rashta's statement, but her brother, Kosher, approaches Rashta threateningly. Rashta, surprised by Kosher's aura, tries to protect her stomach, but is frightened and screams. Marquis Farang and guards try to hold back Kosher's rage, but he continues to yell at Rashta about Navir being infertile and expecting her to adopt children. A palace doctor is studying Rashta, who warns her to be careful during pregnancy. Rashta is surprised when the emperor reveals that she spoke ill of the empress, claiming infertility. Rashta denies the accusations, and she bursts into tears. Sovieshu defends Navir, claiming that the empress manages her image to the extreme. Rashta told the emperor that she was pushed by Kosher. Sovieshu frowned and asked if Kosher really pushed her. She contemplates and concludes that Kosher was a kind of man that will push Rashta. The empress, along with her brother Kosher, learns that he is forbidden from entering the palace and face punishment for threatening Miss Rashta. Rashta claims she fell because of his brother's push, which Sovieshu believes. The empress warned his brother to be cautious with Rashta, who played a part in the Duchess Tuania's divorce and manipulated rumors.